And that's what you've got to have an appreciation for, because you mold them and you take them to the next level. Because we, on a competitive level, on an international level, competing, we need you to do what you do. As I said, you're doing it because of the passion that you have, but some of you have lost it. And we've got to get it back. You've got to have an understanding of why you're doing it. We're doing it for them, ladies and gentlemen. It's not for us, and we all already understand that. So you take a look at the business side. They say if you do what you've always done, you get what you've always gotten. Wrong. It's not going to happen in the business community. You take a look at the 100 largest companies that existed in the United States in the 1900s. 16 are still in existence. 230 of the Fortune 500 companies that existed in 1980 are gone. 46% of the perennial leaders, you go back 10 more years, that number jumps to 74%. All of a sudden you're saying, gosh, we're good, we're fantastic. We did 55, and I just said hero to zero. Being an ex-athlete taught me a lot of important things about business I didn't appreciate at the time. One thing it taught me is I'm only as good as my next game. My last game will get me on the field. But the moment I start dropping the ball and missing the shot, you know what that coach says? Why don't you just go sit down over there? You know, next, you're done. And that's what you got to have an appreciation for. You're graded every day. So when you look at it and you walk into that room, it is showtime. You click it on, and what you've got, you're going to deliver every time. Because they can give you the technology, but you're the player. You're the one that has the magic.
Now, Segway. Several years later, I'm doing a program for a company that manufactures 18-wheelers. And the reason why I Segway is because they got an order from Coca-Cola for 100 trucks after their competitor dropped the ball. They told me the story. They said, our competitor beat us. They outbid us. So they called them up and said, okay, build us one. We'll take a look at it, and then you can build the other 99. So they did a fantastic job, and they spent all that money on the dies and molds and jigs and everything else to build this fantastic 18-wheeler with all the chrome and all the new graphics. And they drove it down to Atlanta. And here comes the hierarchy of Coca-Cola down there to look at the new truck. And the chairman of the board reaches up, opens up the cab. Anybody like to tell me what's on the dash? A Pepsi. Oh, a Pepsi can. He looks at the Pepsi can. He slams the door. He says, get that truck off my property. He said, and cancel the other 99. I only own that one. And if it had been my driver, he'd been wearing a Coca-Cola uniform. You can buy the suckers online. He'd had that baseball cap with the beer cans in them, except he'd had 2 Coke cans with straws in his mouth, sucking as he drove in. Just love your product, okay? No, let's don't pay attention to the details. Let's all of a sudden have someone drive up with a Pepsi can on there, and the next thing you know, you lose business. Sometimes you wonder what separates the good from the great, and a lot of times it's just a can. If you're in a bad mood, your people see it, and don't think they don't. I'll be sitting in my office dealing with a situation and the phone will ring, and I'll have that look on my face, and all of a sudden the phone rings, and I go to grab the phone, and by the way, they're watching you, and don't think they're not. And I'll have that look on my face, and I'll pick it up, and I'll go, hi. They go, how do you do that every time? I go, money. I learned that a long time ago, folks. You don't care if I'm in a good mood or bad. It's what? Good mood. I learned showtime. All of a sudden I'm in a bad mood and I'm picking up the phone, it's showtime. I walk up to a customer if it's showtime. I walk up to an employee, it's what? Showtime. Don't walk up and tell them to smile. Tell them it's what? Showtime. It's a performance, and that's what business is. And that's how you take it to the next level. Your software is one thing, but the rest of it is what? Showtime.
Break. So that's what we've got to have an appreciation for when you start looking at it. CNN, Ted Turner took it to every major network in the United States. ABC, CBS, and NBC had a 92% market share. He walked up on a silver platter and he only wanted to participate. They kicked him out. They said, get out of here, you stupid billboard salesman. Who wants to listen to news 24 hours a day? Stupid idea. He sold that stupid idea for $7 billion. The idea that gets the most resistance is probably a pretty good idea.
Anybody know who invented the digital watch? Any idea? The Swiss, exactly correct. The Swiss, the watchmakers of the world, invented the digital watch. And they took it to the National Association of Watchmakers. They said, what do you think? 65,000 watchmakers said, it'll never sell. They said, how come? Doesn't have a mainspring. They said, really? Yeah, it doesn't have a mainspring. Everybody knows that watches have got to have a mainspring. At least watchmakers say that. So basically, 65,000 watchmakers concurred. So they took it to the International Association of Watchmakers, unpatented, unprotected. And a group of gentlemen walked up to the digital watch, and they only had 2 words to say. Ah, so. Betty, interesting watch. Have no mainspring to break. Keep perfect time. We sell millions. And they did. 10 years later, ladies and gentlemen, there were 55,000 less watchmakers in Switzerland. Their paradigm was a watch has got to have a mainspring. Where's your paradigm? When you start looking at the game, folks, you start thinking about how you're going to change. How many of y'all have ever seen your mainspring? I never have. To me, a watch is either a status symbol or a timepiece. I don't care if there's a rat running around in a sucker, long as the rat's on time.